the origins of Rome. Just like many of the leaders of civilizations who came before it, the Roman people and their leaders sought to establish their legitimacy through the use of storytelling and legend. Often these founding legends give us clues about what influenced their social hierarchy. The founding legend of Rome begins with the Trojan War. According to the legend, the Greek Menelaus had a wife named Helen who was extremely beautiful. If you remember what we've learned from Sparta, King Menelaus was the king of Sparta. The Trojan prince Paris and Helen fell in love, so Helen ran away with Paris to Troy. Menelaus then used his armies and the armies of his allies to attack Troy. This leads to the famous Trojan horse in the invasion of Troy. Elite Greek soldiers were hidden inside this structure, and when the Trojans brought the horse inside the city walls, the Greek soldiers came out and opened the gates for their awaiting comrades. As the city of Troy is being conquered by the Greeks, Aeneas, the second best warrior of the Trojans, escaped to modern-day Italy and founded the city of Lavinium. His son went on to found the city of Alba Longa. This is where the Roman origin story really begins. According to the ancient Roman historians, the most notable of these is Livy. Remus and Romulus were the grandchildren of King Numito of Alba Longa. King Numito was a distant descendant of Aeneas. Numito's brother, Amulius, performed a coup d'etat, imprisoning the king and his daughter Rhea Silvia, who was forced to become a Vestal Virgin so that she would not bear any children. But Silvia did bear children. She gave birth to twins, boys who were called Romulus and Remus. It is said that Mars, the god of war, was their father. Amulius wanted the children dead and ordered them to be thrown in the river. But the children were instead put into a basket, which was found by a she-wolf, who took care of the children and fed them. Then a shepherd came across the boys and adopted them. The boys grew up and became excellent warriors. When they became adults, they performed a coup d'etat of their own and reinstated their true king, Numito. Then they set out to look for a place to find for their own city. They found it by the river Tiber, where they had been discovered by the shepherd. Near this area, there were 7 hills, and they decided to build a city on one of them, but they couldn't agree on which one, and they couldn't agree on who should rule it. So they asked the gods for a sign. Each of the twins awaited an answer from the gods on a different one of the 7 hills. Remus saw the first sign, 6 vultures flying above him. Shortly after that, Romulus saw 12 vultures flying above him and claimed the kingship for himself. Remus began to mock his brother Romulus, Romulus then came up and killed Remus. This is said to have happened in 753 BC. When Romulus murdered Remus, he took the kingship for himself, claimed the throne, and it is believed by the Romans that he never died and was taken into heaven and became a god himself. Here we have the city of Rome, named for Romulus. And again, Aeneas is said to have founded Lavinium. Aeneas' son is said to have founded Alba Longa, and this is where King Numito and this whole story of Romulus and Remus begins. Patricians, the highest social class in the Roman social hierarchy, all trace their lineage to Romulus, thus beginning the social hierarchy of Rome. While most of the founding story of Rome is undoubtedly veiled in myth and hyperbole, the founding stories do reveal some evidence of the true history of Rome. Historians believe that the original Romans were a mix of the Etruscan people and the Latin people who lived in the city of Latium, located in the exact location where the city of Rome was founded. Much of Roman architecture and engineering was inherited from these Etruscans. The Etruscans were also advanced metalsmiths and, as such, developed iron weapons before many of their neighbors, allowing them to conquer large territories. As many of the 3 of the original Roman kings were Etruscan. So though historians can't be completely sure about which pieces of the founding story are myth and which are legend, we can be sure of the importance of these founding myths in establishing the Roman social hierarchy, which lasted for 1,000 years.